Welcome to Module 2 of the Adquio courses. This time we are going to see what we must do in Adquio to connect to APIs, extract information and work with it. At the moment, in this section 2 of the Adquio courses, we only have 4 chapters planned, but these chapters will grow as you ask us questions, or as you have doubts, then we will create videos tailored to your needs. Therefore, although you will only see 4 videos here, do not think that this section will only have these, but that we will create them as doubts arise that we consider to be important, and above all that we consider to be of general interest to all of you. Therefore, in this case we are going to see point 2.1 connecting with an API, but next we will see creating global objects within Adquio, which is not trivial, but there is a way to create both objects and global functions, which we will to come very well and we will see why. We will also see how to generate alarms. And we are going to see last until now, how to work in an advanced way with events. Okay, so let's start chapter 2.1, and for this we connect to an Adquio, first of all, and as always, this Adquio to which we are connected is an Adquio that is in operation, therefore, we are connected to it remotely through the internet. If at any time you see that there is a delay, the reason will be this, that we are remotely connected to it. We are simply going to go to the script section directly. And we are going to create a new script. We are going to give it a name. And we are going to save. Very well, the first thing we need to know is that to connect to an API, we need to know the characteristics and requirements of that API, and therefore this time we are going to make an example with a weather forecast API. For this, we are going to switch to the Open Weather tab and we are going to see how to obtain, with this example, the information to connect to its API, and this time we are going to use the API option. I had already checked it in advance. We are going to work with this API. The prediction every 3 hours for the next 5 days. We click here, the first thing we must do is look at this URL, which is the one we must attack with our library. We see that we have several parameters in this call, which are in orange, which are latitude, longitude and the API key. What we must do is obtain the latitude and longitude of our geographical area. For this, I have already made the query here. We simply go to Google, I have put London coordinates, and it has given me here my coordinates latitude and longitude, then we are going to use them, and we will see how. Alright, so we're back to Open Weather, and the next thing we should be able to get is this API key. To obtain this API key we must register. Okay, you will give it here, and you can create an account. In my case, I already have it and I am going to enter. Okay, very well, once we are inside, we have an option in our user menu that is Manage API Keys. I have already created one, which is the one we are going to use, but if you have not created it, simply give it a name here, and simply give it to Generate. Okay, I'm going to use this one here. Very well, we now have all the elements to start working within Adquio and be able to call this API. We are then going to return to Adquio. We are going to write the first instruction, and I am going to explain it to you. We are going to use the Axios library, okay? This library will allow us to connect to any REST API, so we just create a constant with the name Axios, and tell it that we require the Axios library, okay? This is the first step to be able to work with this library later. Next, we are going to create a series of constants to save the fixed part of the call to our API, and that were the API key and the coordinates. If you remember, the API key we brought it from the Open Weather page, and we had looked for the coordinates, just Google with coordinates and our location, okay? If you notice, I have copied them directly from here, just to save time, I am copying and pasting them. Alright, so now we have everything we need to make the call to our URL, so what do we need? Well, we obviously need the URL. The URL, where did we have it? We had it in Open Weather, in the API section, and we had it in the forecast for 5 days every 3 hours, we remember that we had it here. Okay? So we're going to copy it. And we're going to paste it directly below this. Now, we will see how we fix it, so that it works, and simply where it says, lat, and, lon, we have to put our variable. We leave this here as a prototype to know what we have to do, and now? We are going to create a constant, that we will call URL, and what will it be if you realize exactly what we have above, but where we have already changed, we are going to comment this, so that it does not give us an error. Okay, now yes, where we have changed the variables that we had here, now they are variables that exist, lat and lon, we have called them exactly the same as they were in the example, the only thing being API key, since there can be no spaces, we have called it a PI key altogether, okay? are the variables that we have up here. And we already have all our constants prepared. Let's see then how we make the call. Okay? This is the basic call. We have told the Axios function that we want to do a get with the URL that we have composed above, which in turn is composed with the longitude, latitude, and API key variables, which we have defined just before. Okay? And that once this URL is called, we will get the values in response. Within these keys is where we are going to work with these values. We are then going to click down, and we are going to first see what it answers us. We save. We see that it took a little while, because the response is huge, and we see everything we get. The most important thing is this clear sky, an icon that we can get on the web page if we want to use it in an application. We have maximum temperatures, minimum temperatures. One important thing, to access all this information, we will see it below. We can also obtain it on the API page and we are going to review it. At the bottom we have how we should. Here it is, we have how we should call the variables to obtain those values. For example, list, main, temp, it would be to access. Let's see if we find it here. List, we have it here, main, temp, okay? With that we would have 294.87. We are going to check list 0, main, temp. Let's see if it works. We copy this logger.info to see if it returns the correct information. And we put it down here but with our variable only. Okay? Let's see if it works. We comment on the logger.info. Let's see what it tells us. It tells us that item is not defined. Well, we are going to define it right here. And let's see what he has already given us. 292.39. Okay, these temperatures are Kelvin degrees. To convert Kelvin to centigrade we have to subtract 273.15, so we're going to do it where we get the variable temp. We're going to tell it that this is equal to temp minus 273.15, okay? We're going to save this. When we save it, it runs, and we get something much more consistent, 19.31, okay? Essentially, this is the way to call any API, and obviously inside the braces you have to put your own code. What you need to access the variables, in this case we have used the index 0 of list. Because this variable is repeated n times, so if we know that we are going to get the next 5 days and each day has values every 3 hours, we have 8 measurements per day. In total with 5 days we will have 40 elements. We will have the index from 0 to 39, okay? Next, we simply have to go to the variable tree, depending on the temperature or the value that we want to obtain. As we said, this is obtained from the open weather page, okay? This list, we have seen that we have list, main, temp, around here, okay? It is quite easy. If we start from this documentation, and obviously from here we can do whatever we need with this. We can make it so that depending on the outside temperature, or depending on the outside climate, Adquio closes the blinds, changes the lighting, etc. This is just an example of connecting to an API. But obviously you will realize that by changing this we can connect to any API, whether it is an API of a local server of a local application of our company, or an API of any internet service, as is the case here, right? When you watch this video, if you have any questions, please, through our ticket service, you can ask us the questions you need, and we, of course, will try to clarify them. If it is a very specific question, we will answer the ticket. And, if it is a question of general interest, we generate a video similar to this one to answer it, and so that this type of question is completely clear to everyone. Okay, so with this, we finish this first video of section 2 of programming, and see you in the next one. Bye.